विहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपद 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 जय प्रभुपद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रता सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुव एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायण नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वती व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिनि नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गुरुतिसे नमः। नमो ब्रह्मण्याय देवाय गोब्राह्मणहिताय च जगद्दिदाय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ॐ अपवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षा सा बाह्यभ्यन्तरं शुचे श्री विष्णु हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण लीलांद्र प्रभु जी दंडवत प्रणाम थैंक यू सो मच फॉर गिविंग दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी हरे कृष्णा गिरिराज प्रभु धन्यवाद प्रणाम हरे कृष्णा अकिंचन प्रभु धन्यवाद प्रणाम थैंक यू सो मच so today
ಶುರುಗಳು
so this is an auspicious month of Margashira. It has started on 2nd December officially. So among all the months Krishna is the Margashira month. So I am very happy to speak something about Srimad Bhagavatam, about Krishna in the association of all of the devotees in this auspicious month. I thank each and every one of you for giving me this, your association. Hare Krishna. So without any delay, so but today we are going to see. So today we are going to see the second chapter of the seventh canto, Hiranyakashipu, the king of all the demons. So if you closely see, today we are seeing about the 16th sloka, from 16th sloka to 31st sloka. If you see carefully the slokas, it is nothing but the science of self-realization condensed into this few 15 slokas. It is as good as science of self-realization. We have seen science of happiness, 10 sets of happiness, we have group, we have seen the science of the soul, and we have seen the karma, all these things. So what are we going to learn from this? So it is this class is more useful for me. So we may speak so much philosophy, we may conduct classes on science of self-realization, but is it coming outside the mouth? Is it lip service? His Holiness Jayapataka Swami says, Maharaj says, the services which we do are only, is it from the lip service or is it coming from the heart? So presently, I'm utilizing this service so that I can realize the message from the heart. I'm trying to repeat whatever Prabhupada is speaking, but as a parent, but not like Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is a parent, but he is a self-realized parent. But I'm trying to be self-realized. I'm not yet self-realized. I'm speaking whatever I heard in this attempt. If I spoke anything wrong, please forgive me for that. So, are we Hiranyakashipus or are we representatives of the Guru Parampara? The message is same. We speak so much philosophy. Everyone can speak philosophy, but are we following that philosophy? Is what we have to understand through this session. So, if we go with the history, so in the previous sessions, we have seen how Varahadev was killed. Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. So Jaya was cursed by poor Sanat Kumaras to become demons in 3 lifetimes. One of the birth is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, and Varahadev kills Hiranyaksha. So hearing that Hiranyakashipu gets angry. So in the course of all time, Narada Muni was asked by Yudhishthira Maharaj that why Hiranyakashipu was angry on Prahlad Maharaj. This entire seventh canto is depicted by the life of Prahlad Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, Prahlad Maharaj was a young boy, 5 years old. Why Hiranyakashipu is so much angry on his own, envious on his own son, Prahlad Maharaj? So Hiranyakashipu conquered the whole planetary system, 14 planetary system, and he tried to get the hold of everyone. So he said the only mantra which used to be chanted in his rule was Om Hiranyakashipaya Namaha. But only one person was chanting Om Narayanaya Namaha. It is none other than his own son, Prahlad Maharaj. So he could have left only one person. Yes, one person is doing the thing. Where Hiranyakashipu, deep inside the heart, knows the potency of Narayana Mantra. If he leaves his own son, Prahlad Maharaj, to chant the holy names of Narayana, and whatever hard work Hiranyakashipu has done will be futile. So he wanted to kill Prahlad Maharaj because he was chanting Narayana Mantra. And now, in this chapter, Narada Muni is explaining how Hiranyakashipu has transformed, is envious of Lord Narayana, how he became the enemy of Vishnu. So, if a brief recap of what we have left from Lord we have left so far. So, Sri Narada Muni said, my dear King Yudhishthira, when Lord Vishnu in the form of Varaha, the boar, killed Hiranyaksha's brother, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and began to lament. So he was, as a brother, he was feeling very mad, angry. Why Vishnu has killed my brother? Then he orders his demons to, he says to his demons, attentively hear to me. Vishnu is supposed to be equal to each and everyone. We are all children of Vishnu. He should be equal to the demons and to the devatas. But now Vishnu has taken the side of the demigods. So what you have to do? So you have to plug the roots of the tree. When the root of the tree is removed, the entire tree gets disabled. The root of the tree, for the Vishnu, the root of the Vishnu is the yajnas which is happening. We all know Bhoktharam Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So Vishnu is a Bhokta of all the yajnas, all the sacrifices that is being happening. So if you remove this Brahmanas, if you remove these sacrifices, if you remove these yajnas, so the Vishnu does not get the sacrifices. Ultimately, he will die of starvation. So what you have to do? You have to stop all the yajnas. Immediately go and destroy all the places. Destroy the Brahmanical culture. Destroy the Vedas. Destroy the Varnashrama system. And similarly, the demons executed Hiranyakashipu's orders. The demons started persecuting all the Brahmanas. They set fire, and we have stopped at that location. Today, we are going to see the 16th shloka of this chapter. So, first shloka I will read. Text number 16. Evam viprakrute loke daitendranocharermuhu divam deva parityajya bhuvi cherur alakshita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus disturbed again and again by the unnatural occurrences caused by the followers of Hiranyakashipu, all the people had to cease the activities of the Vedic culture. Not receiving the results of the yajna, the demigods also became disturbed. They left their residential quarters in the heavenly planets and, unobserved by the demons, began wandering on the planet Earth to see the disasters. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the performance of the yajna brings reciprocal good fortune for both the human beings and the demigods. When the performances of the yajna were stopped by the disturbances of the demons, the demigods were naturally bereft of the results of the yajna and hampered in the executing their respective duties. Therefore, they came down to the planet Earth to see how people had become disturbed and to consider what to do. So, somewhere in elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says, when we are born with certain depths, runas. So, what are the runas which a person will have? We have depths for rishis, the saintly people. So, for that, we have to do Swadhyaya. So, we have to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic scriptures. So, by that way, we clear the depths of the rishis. And another runas is runas to the devatas. So every householder, every person, not only house, every person who are in proper varnashrama dharma, whether it is a brahmachari, gruhastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, the one and most important thing is to conduct yajnas. So yajnas was a central part of the Vedic culture. So when we see Lord Ram, for the purpose of getting Lord Ram, Dasarath Maharaj has conducted Putra Kameshti Yajna. So he did not want a child, an ordinary child like us. He wanted a child who can deliver his forefathers from the hellish planet called Putra. And for that, he has done Putra Kameshti Yajna. So there are so many yajnas, Vajipi Yajna, all those kinds of yajnas. So it is like preparing a Homagunda. So with the proper chanting of the holy names, we have to do offer food items, whether it is fruits, vegetables. There are certain, for each and every there are certain rules and regulations. So this is a part of the central part of the Vedic system. And Hiranyakashipu has destabilized this central part of the culture. So today we see so many Hiranyakashipus. We are all part of this. We are being part of followers of Hiranyakashipu. But by his divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, instead of being a part of the Hiranyakashipu's culture, we are slowly shifting towards the proper Varnashrama Dharma. But where today's world is like that. So people say these are all trash. These are all sentimentalism. So we should not do these yajnas. This fire creates, it gets a lot of smoke, carbon dioxide pollution, air pollution happens when you do yajnas. But if you see but you see the material aspects of the yajna also. So you might be knowing that around in Bihar that poisonous gas was released, and so many people lost the carbide, Union carbide blast. So many people lost their life because of the poisonous gas released from the factory. But there was one person who used to do yajnas regularly. So he was using proper regular yajnas, and it was founded the 10-kilometer radius around his house was so pure that the effect of the carbon dioxide was minimum, almost to the price of nil. This is there in the research paper. You can see the material benefits of the yajna, proper yajna conducted. And we are not, but we are, of course, material benefits are required, but we are seeing the spiritual benefits of the yajna. So we are taking certain things from the Devatas. We are taking sunlight from the Surya Dev, moonlight from moon. So we are taking all those things, rain from Varuna Dev. So we are all indebted to the demigods. So when we offer the food to yajnas, all the devatas get their share of the sacrifice. When this Vedic culture is disturbed, demigods did not get the share. When demigods do not get the share, we don't get the rains properly. When we don't get the rains properly, we don't get the rains properly, and we starve, we die of starvation. But this modern material education, modern scientist doesn't understand this aspect of the yajnas. So you sow the seed. When the rain is coming, you'll get a nice crops. But where does the rain come from? How does the rain come from? Why there is why there is delays in the rains? Why extra rains are coming? It said akala varsham. So in the winter season we get certain rains. The whole ecological system is disbalanced. Why? Because there was no proper igneous conducted. So Kali, so all the demigods are dependent on the igneous system. Without igneous, they cannot survive. They are dependent on us, and we are also dependent on them. But in Kali Yuga, we cannot conduct these igneous. So we all know, we have seen in the science of self-realization class, how is the ghee proper? I'm not going into the detail of the we all know this. Is the ghee proper? Are the proper are there proper brahmanas who are chanting the mantras with the proper consciousness? So in this Kali Yuga, we don't have such brahmanas. We don't have such a luxury to conduct so and so yajnas. But it doesn't make us to stop those yajnas. We have to do the yajnas as part of the, because Vedas has prescribed. With whatever capacity we have to conduct those yajnas. But those yajnas are not going to take us back to Godhead, which is our prime duty. The only yajna which is possible in this Kali Yuga is Sankirtana yajna. Harinameva kevalam, Harinameva kevalam, Harinameva kevalam, Kalo nasteva, 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 gatinanya. There is no other process. So why does the other process? You see, you have heard about birth of Vritrasura. How did a demon like Vritrasura was born? That was the period of golden days period. One word was spoken wrongly. The Brahmanas chanted the wrong word. Instead of saying the person who has to kill Indra, but instead of that, they have said the person who is taking birth should be killed by Indra. A wrong, small utterance of the syllable changed the entire course of the yajna. And Vritrasura was born. Although Vritrasura was a pure devotee, but externally, if you see, a demon is born out of the yajna. Today, when we are doing the yajna without any proper consciousness, because syllables, without the mantras not chanted properly, and what are we going to get from the yajna? So, do you get the results? No. The process now is questionable. The only process is Harinama Sankirtana. So, we have to understand the importance of the Harinama Sankirtana. Harinam. Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktish Tatrarpita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the second sloka. So Krishna has invested all his energies in this on this each and every syllable of the Krishna's word names. You take Vasudeva, Sankarshana, all these things. But especially when the mantra is given by the Guru, it is more effective. And today's Kali Santana Upanishad, the mantra which we have to chant is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the only mantra which takes us back to Godhead, which provides the love for Krishna. That's why we call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Namo Mahavadyanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. So our goal is to get the love of Godhead. When we have the love of God, whether we are in hell or heaven or whatever, we will be happy serving Krishna and his devotees. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Nadanam na janam na sundarim na kavitam va jagadish kama. He is wanting all the service of Krishna. That is what he is wanting. That is the love of God. Are we having that love of God? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I am not feeling that. we are in such a situation that we are not feeling even that feeling. We should feel it. So this is the mantra which we have got after so many lifetimes. We have to be so fortunate that to chant this mantra attentively, regularly in Brahma Muhurta. Of course, there is no hard and fast rules for chanting of the holy names. So you can whatever state you are in, you can chant the holy names. But the most, if the chanting of the holy name to be effective, it is the Brahma Muhurta is very conducive. So try to finish the major portion of the rounds at least in the Brahma Muhurta stage. Brahma Muhurta is the first goal we should have. Do whatever it is possible. Do whatever it is possible to make this happen. So you have to let go of certain things. You have to sleep early. You have to let go of certain activities so that you can sleep early, wake up early, and chant the holy names. Whatever, ena prakarena, try to chant the holy names early in the morning. The first thing. Second thing, Srila Prabhupada's instructions say that it is minimum 16 rounds. It is not 16 rounds. It is minimum 16 rounds. How many of us are thinking about chanting more than 16 rounds daily? So when the 16th round is finished, throw the feedback there and say to the feedback, now I'm done with you. Till tomorrow morning, don't bother me. I have done my part today. Krishna says, we have everywhere it is said in the Shastra, Satatam Kirtayantam. Always, 24 by 7. See, Haridas Thakur chanted 192 rounds. So there are different ways of chanting. There are three categories. So one is external chanting, on chanting by pronouncing it out. Some is chanting in the mind. So whatever it may be, always think about Krishna. But how much of time are we thinking of Krishna? It is not possible. We are not making it. Until unless we give the first priority to the chanting, we cannot get Krishna in our life. It is not possible. So we are making a statement to Krishna. You today in this life, you are my priority. This is my priority. I will chant my rounds today, since you know. Sometimes I see people even in the late in the evening they chant the holy names. Of course, if they're chanting more for whole day, that's good. They are chanting extra rounds, that's good. But most of the people are chanting their 16 rounds in the evening. Of course, their family positions might be different. Except for that, if you have a chance to chant the holy name early in the morning, it is the best opportunity we have to take it. Don't think that so today is Saturday, so today is a Monday. Every day is a big gift given by Krishna so that we can chant this holy name and go back to Krishna. So for that, whatever it takes, we have to do it. This is the benefit. This is the way people come to the life. Prabhupada says, if we are not into Krishna consciousness, we are as good as dead bodies, walking dead bodies. So what does make us to live? It is only the Krishna conscious activities which make us live. We are doing so many services. So many services. Why are we doing the so many services? Of course, to attract people, to give them opportunity to practice Krishna consciousness. But what about our own Krishna consciousness? First, we have to be self-realized. So it is said, first you have to take the mask in the flights. They say you put your own mask and put the mask on the others. So what about our sadhana first? So we have to focus our own sadhana also. All these services should make us improve our sadhana. So we don't not that we go outside. We have to do all those things, but at what cost? If we are not stealthy, we cannot outreach or go for outreach. So personal sadhana is very much important. People are suffering outside. They're not suffering because of of all our material problems. They're suffering because of the Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. So today, work culture is so degraded that person has to work for 12 hours, 2 hours for commuting to the office, 12 hours in the office, and 2 hours back to the commute back to the home. 16 hours are lost for the purpose of this work. What about what you have to do in 8 hours? So we have to take rest. That is also bodily requirement. We have to give time to the family members. We have to grasp the dharma, and we have to deal with the Krishna conscious activities. So if we are not chanting the holy names, at least we have minimum services to chant the holy names, and we are not focusing on that holy names as well. And what can we become? What devotees are we calling about? So we have to be Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name. So outside people are appreciating. The good thing is people are appreciating the holiness, whether they take it or not. This is secondary thing, but they are appreciating. So recently, what happened when we are in our office, we are discussing about all these things. I used to say my points. So Krishna means through Bhagavad Gita is like this, or like this. Recently, one lady who is supposed to be my equivalent, he started greeting me Hare Krishna. Even I didn't address Hare Krishna in the office, but she addressed me Hare Krishna. So see the transformation. At least she did that part. So we have to be proactive in dealing with the devotees. So dealing with the people, whatever is best for them. Give some Krishna conscious philosophy, even in your workplaces. It's one day or the other, it will give benefit to them. Now their children are into kids Bhagavad Gita. So she got interested in Bhagavad Gita. She going to some other ISKCON center, and children are chanting the holy names. We do not know how these holy names spread. We think that these people should come into my satsang, so they should be under me. I should counsel them, but this should not be the case. So whatever it may be, we have to give the holy name so that it somehow or the other benefits them in the Krishna consciousness philosophy. So connect to them, sir. So we have to connect to the devotees. This is a month of book distribution. We all do book distributions. There are so many people who are doing active with the book distribution. So you all know. So we have to connect to them. We have to go to the level, talk about Krishna and their own backgrounds, and then connect to Krishna, connect them to this philosophy and give book. So somehow connection should be made. Somehow whatever it takes us to do, participate in this Sankirtana Yajna. One is your personal sadhana, personal Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting early in the morning, Sankirtana Yajna, congregational chanting, and all these Bhagavad Gita classes also Sankirtana Yajna. The Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam classes, everything is Sankirtana Yajna. So we all have to participate in this Bhagavatam classes, Bhagavad Gita classes. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is mentioning over here. Sankirtana Yajna is the all auspiciousness. And when we do Sankirtana Yajna, all auspiciousness will come automatically. So text number 17 till 21. Any devotee would like to read the translation and purport? 17 till 21.
I'll read Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, after performing the ritualistic observances for the death of his brother, Hiranyakashipu, being extremely unhappy, tried to pacify his nephews. 18 to 19 translation. O king, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry, but since he was a great politician, he knew how to act according to the time and situation. With sweet words, he began pacifying his nephew, whose names were Saukali, Shambhara, Drishti, Bhutasanta, Bhutasantapana, Rika, Kalanabha, Mahanabha, Harimasru, and Utkaracha. He also consoled their mother, his sister-in-law, Rushabhanu, as well as his own mother Diti. He spoke to them he spoke to them all as follows. Text 20 translation. Hiranyakashipu said, "My dear mother, sister-in-law, and nephews, you should not lament for the death of the great hero, for the hero's death in front of his enemy is glorious and desirable. My dear mother, in a restaurant or a place for drinking cold water, many travelers are brought together, and after drinking water, they continue to their respective destinations. Similarly, living entities join together in the family, and later, as a result of their own actions, they are led to their destinations. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. The bewildered soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself the doer of activities which are actually carried out by the nature. Bhagavad Gita 3.27. All the living entities acts exactly according to the directions of Prakriti, material nature, because in the material world we are fully under a higher control. All the living entities in the material world have come here only because they wanted to be equal to Krishna in enjoyment, and have thus been sent here to be the conditioned by the material nature in the different degrees. The material world, so in the material world, a so-called family is the combination of several persons in one home to fulfill the terms of their imprisonment. As criminal prisoners scatter as soon as their terms are over and they are released, all of us who have temporarily assembled as family members will continue to our respective destinations. Another example is given in that family members are like straws carried together by the waves of the river. Sometimes such straws mix together in whirlpool and later dispersed again by the same waves. They float alone in the water. Although Hiranyakashipu was a devil, he had a Vedic knowledge and understanding. Thus, the advice given to his family members, his sister-in-law, mother, and nephews are quite sound. The devils are considered highly elevated in knowledge, but because they do not use their good intelligence for the service of the Lord, they are devils. The demigods, however, act very intelligently to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead. This is confined in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.13 as follows. अतः पुब्बिर्द्विजश्रेष्ठा वर्णाश्रमविभागशः स्वा स्वानन्तु स्वानन्त्य
Swanati.
स्वानन्तुतश्च धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर्हरितोषणम्. O best among the twice born, it is therefore concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve by discharging his prescribed duties, dharma, according to caste divisions and the orders of the life, is to please the Lord Hari. To become a demigod or become godly, whatever one's occupation are, must satisfy the supreme personality of the Godhead.
Hare Krishna. So it's a beautiful purport given the Srila Prabhupada. So it's a nice philosophy given by Hiranyakashipu as well. He's giving us the soul aspect of the soul. He says, just like a person coming into the people coming into the restaurant, there are so many people going to the restaurant to eat, but they are no way related. They eat, when the job is finished, they disperse back. In the similarly, the people go for a drinking water to the water places, but when the drinking is finished, they go back. Similarly, the third example is given by like straws and coming together in the flood. So once I was hearing to the Zen story. It comes in the YouTube. So it was Zen philosophy. It says, so one senior monk was going and followed by the two junior monks. So by the riverside. So when the junior monk has seen that certain object, I forgot that what is that object, but that the junior monk liked that object and wanted to grab it. So he goes to the riverbed and tries to pick up that object, but the object is not reachable. So it is coming near to his hand, but he was unable to take a hold. He was trying all the possible ways, but he could not hold on to that object. And ultimately, because of the flow of the river, and the object got drifted away, and he was utterly unhappy. So he was, why I didn't get this. Why is it happening to me? And the senior monk says, so 5 minutes before you were happy. See, you were happy without that object. Now you got a desire to get that object, and you tried all possible ways. And when you didn't get it, you are unhappy. So the problem is in our desires. His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj says the same thing in his one of his classes, when in his classes on this same purpose. It is the desires that makes us feel miserable or to serve Krishna. So the Prabhupada has given two shlokas over here which distinguishes a person, from becoming a devotee or a demon. So Srila Prabhupada in one of the, I think we all know. So Srila Prabhupada says everyone are always Krishna consciousness. Each and everyone are all part and parcels of the same Krishna. Whether it is a demon or or a demigod or anyone, we are all part and parcel of Krishna, and we are all Krishna consciousness. So what makes a person not Krishna, a demon, and what makes a person Krishna conscious, a devotee? The first sloka, Prakrute Kriyamanani Gune Karmani Sarvasa Ahankara Vimudhatma Kartaham iti manyate. Demons think that I am the doer and it is being done for my own pleasure. So if we think that this is happening because of me and this is happening for my own pleasure, we are as good as the demons. Whether we speak a philosophy, whether you do so many satsangs, if we are thinking that this satsang is stable because of me, and we are representation of Hiranyakashipu there. If we think that this is because of Krishna allowing me to speak something and allowing that them to receive us to hear, and it becomes a Krishna conscious activity. That's what in the last. So last sloka. Atah kumbir dijasveshta varnashrama vibhagasha swanutistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. So a devotee works only for the satisfaction of the Krishna. I am doing this because Krishna likes me to do this. I am chanting because Krishna wants me to chant, to remember. So in Bhagavad Gita he says, so remember me, always remember me. In whatever way you want, please remember me. So one of the greatest way of remembrance and important way of remembrance is the chanting of the holy names. So His Holiness Chandramouli Swami Maharaj was touching upon one line of this. All the living entities act exactly according to the directions of the Prakriti, material nature. Because in the material world, we are all fully under the higher control. So because we are all under the higher control. In the material world, we are under control of Maya. In the spiritual world, we are under the control of Krishna and his devotees. We are always under the control because we are all servants. We have a service attitude, but the service attitude is wrongly directed. Either we are serving the Maya or we have to serve the Krishna. For to revive our consciousness, so we have to purify our desires. Our desires needs to be purified. How does the desires purified? It comes by surrender. How does the surrender comes? You have to control our mind. How does the mind is controlled? Because of the humility. So Chandramouli Swami Maharaj touches upon these four aspects: humility, mind, surrender, and desires. These are the important principles in our devotional service. In the Sixthashtakam, verse 1, Cheto Darpana Majanam, we have seen there are 7 benefits which we get through the chanting of the holy names. Our minds gets purified. This is the uh, base of the knowledge. So we can see the 7 positive effects of the chanting of the holy names. Oh, yes, these are the 7 effects. When we do the chanting of the holy, these 7 effects are going to come. And we think that there are no problems in this chanting of the holy name. But in the second sloka, Chaitanya Prabhu gives a problem. We, because your holy names are invested with the same potency as the Krishna. The holy name and Krishna are not different. When you are chanting Hare Krishna sincerely, it is Krishna chanting on dancing on the tongue. Rupa Goswami says, but how many of us are getting that feel? We are not getting that feel. We are not getting that feel that we are not getting that feel, isn't it? So the problem is the results are possible, but I am not deriving that benefits out of the holy name. This is the second sloka of this Sisastra. Why are we not getting the desired benefits of this holy name? Why are we not realizing the potency of the holy name? Is the third sloka. Trinadapi sunichina tarorapi sahishnana amanina manasena kirtaniya sadahari. So here the important Kirtaniya Sadahari. How can we chant the holy names 24 by 7 until and unless we are following the Trinadapi Sunichana principle? We have to be humble, humility. So humility is the basic basis for all the other things. So one has to be humble. So why are we see when some devotees are excelling in their Krishna consciousness, so we tend to become envious. I am doing the same thing which this other person is doing. How are they are able to do it? Why am I not doing? This is envy. Krishna said, you don't understand Bhagavad Gita because we are envious of Krishna and his devotees. Though we are externally preaching, if we are envious of the other devotees, what effect is our preaching to be? So he said, we have to appreciate the activities of the same of the other devotees. How they are, we have to take religiousness in how the other devotees are excelling. We can take their best practices and we try to implement in our life. That's good. But first thing is we have to appreciate the activities being done by the other devotees. That is the humility. Enviousness is the cause of destruction of the humility. So we are all feeling that. So spirituality is gratitude. We all know that gratitude means spirituality and spirituality means gratitude. So why don't we have that gratitude to this, to our senior devotees, to Prabhupada, to this mission? Because we think that we are entitled for this. So one of the classes we have heard in the center. So entitlement. Entitlement is the destruction of the gratitude. So I need so many facilities. So for me to connect a program, I require so many facilities. I am entitled for this. We think that we are entitled. This entitlement attitude is killing the gratitude. So of course, we require what is needed. So what is needed, we should ask for it. But generally, we ask for more than what is needed. That it becomes the entire, and that is causing the destruction of the humility. So humility needs to think that there is no other shelter other than Krishna. How did Arjuna react to his bewilderment? Karpanyadosho Bhataswabhava. He said, I don't have any other alternative. My own academics, my own all the things, they are not going to help me. Except for you, Krishna, I am taking shelter of you. Tell me what is good and what is right. So taking the shelter of Krishna means taking the shelter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, taking the shelter of the senior devotees, taking the shelter of the philosophy. So by way of this, all these things, we are taking the shelter of Krishna. So that is what is humility. So mind's nature is to, the next second thing is, so what is distracting from stopping us from being humble? It is the mind which is stopping us. Mind is saying, okay, you're doing one day, 2 days, okay. But when it comes to third day, mind says, no, you are not meant for this. Mind is always saying, you are bound to be enjoyed. Sorry, you are bound to enjoyment. Surrender. Why surrender to so other devotee? You are so great. You are doing so many things. You are top in the company. So you have all these qualifications. And you are saying you will surrender all these things? No, you should not do Trinadapi Sunichena. This is the individuals to have. This is what mind says. That's why Govinda Dasa says. Bhajahure mana, Srinanda Nandana. Always engage our mind in philosophy. So our mind should and intelligence should invested in philosophy. His Grace Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu says the first thing we should do, we should have is philosophical clarity. Are we clarity on this philosophy or not? Like Hiranyakashipu, he is giving philosophy, but is he clarity on that? Is he implementing in that? No. So we should not be like Hiranyakashipu. We have the philosophy, but we have to utilize the philosophy for our own, sorry, for in realizing, for to surrender. Our mind says, you cannot be insignificant servant. You are so great. So surrender means being insignificant. If you see Srishas from last verse, ask Rishi Father, it's like becoming slave. How does a slave treated? He is not repaid. His efforts are not recognized, but slave has to work for that. We have to be slave to Krishna and his devotees. And mind says, no. So that's why we have to, the mind is giving all the alternatives that you are this body, you are not this mind, you are not this soul, you are this body. So you have to control that mind and intelligence by engaging in the philosophical understanding. The third concept that can concept the concept of surrender. So ultimately, Bhagavad Gita clearly said, "Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharan." Without the surrender, there is no point in progressing in Krishna consciousness. Until and unless we don't feel that I am helpless and hopeless in this material world. If we don't feel that we are helpless and hopeless, we don't take shelter. We are to be guided. If we don't feel to be guided, we cannot take surrender. Arjuna got it. He surrendered. And by that, he became success in his life. So surrender actually means I say and you do. So the senior person says, and you act accordingly. Krishna says certain things to be done, and we have to act according to the Krishna's instruction, Guru's instructions. It also means you don't have any other choice. There is no other choice. Surrender means no choice except to come under me. But if our goal is to become a devotee, if we want to become a devotee, we have no other choice except to surrender to Krishna. No other way. We have to surrender to Krishna. So by being surrendered to Krishna makes us empowered. This is many times very difficult. We talk about surrender, all those things we do, so speak about all these things. But it is very difficult for us to surrender. The surrender aspect is still not coming. It requires strong faith. So faith is the most important in the surrender. So Srila Prabhupada says it should be like a genuine cry for the of a child for its mother. How does a child cry? So it cries till mother picks up, isn't it? Similarly, we have to cry for the mercy of the Krishna and his devotees. Then only the real surrender happens. So what is stopping us from the surrender? It is our material desires. So desires. Srila Prabhupada says we have to pay price for Krishna consciousness. For staying in Krishna consciousness, we have to pay price for that. What is that price? We have to become laulyam, greedy for Krishna consciousness. I want to do more and more. I have to chant more and more. I have to do services more and more. Just like a child crying more and more attention for Krishna. So we are crying for Krishna's attention. What is stopping from all these things? It is a lack of taste which we have. So we do not get actual taste for Krishna consciousness. So we have a lot of garbage in our heart and mind. So we have a lot of garbage. So many lifetimes of garbage is sitting in our heart. So how does this garbage go out? Can we remove it? No. By surgical operation, we cannot remove the garbage inside the heart. Sunoti Yamalam Krishna. So when we hear to Krishna Kada, Krishna enters through the sound vibration and he does all the cleaning activities. That is what Cheta Marjana Marjanam. So chant. Whether you like it or not like it, whether you don't feel it or not feel it, we have to chant holy names. So while chanting, our mind wanders. Don't be 10 offenses of the holy name is inattentiveness while chanting. We see mobile. So I'm speaking about myself. So we see the mobiles, give messages, all those things. So attentive chanting of the holy names of the Hare Krishna mantra. Then the real surrender happens. We start believing that I belong to Krishna. The symptom of surrender means the belongingness of Krishna. I am belonging to Krishna. I am not of this world. I am belonging to Krishna. This is the beginning of devotional service. The mind says, Icha and Vesha. Mind has certain wants and don't wants. So we are trying to balance the material world and the spiritual world. So mind wants the material and soul wants the spiritual. But never in Bhagavad Gita it is talked about balancing the material and spiritual. Krishna says you have to be spiritual. Engage your all the material activities into the spiritual. Convert everything material into spiritual. If anything is not being converted to spiritual, let go of it. Anukulena Krishna Anusilena. That's what. So whatever is favorable for Krishna, accept it. Whatever is not favorable for Krishna consciousness, reject it. There is no question of balancing spiritual and material law. So we have so automatically when we are Krishna conscious, we are balancing everything. There is no separate balancing required. We continue our Krishna consciousness irrespective of the mind's turbulence. So whatever is happening in our life, these are all they come and go. That is, so all these relatives come together and then leave. We also leave one day. Death is certain to happen for one each and every one of us. At that time, who is going to come to us? Nobody. For Gajendra, nobody has come. For us also, nobody may. They may pray. Only the devotees are the true well-wishers of our soul, of ourselves. Instead of if you're taking the shelter of the devotees, we are taking the shelter of the materialistic persons, trying to satisfy them. So we have to be sincere in our practices, but whatever capacity we are in. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, hearing the Shastras regularly to align our mind, Krishna. This is our solution. Regularly attend these Bhagavata classes, Bhagavad Gita classes. Then our mind comes into in line with Krishna consciousness. Text number 22. The spirit soul, the living entity, has no death, for he is eternal and inexhaustible. Being free from the material contamination, he can go anywhere in the material or spiritual worlds. He is fully aware and completely different from the material body. But because of being misled by misuse of his slight independence, he is obliged to accept subtle and gross bodies created by material energy and thus be subjected to so-called material happiness and distress. Therefore, no one should lament for the passing of the spirit soul from the body. Hiranyakashipu very intelligently described the position of the soul. The soul is never the body, but it is always completely different from the body. Being eternal and inexhaustible, the soul has no death. But when the same pure soul desires to enjoy the material world independently, he is placed in the under the conditions of the material nature and must therefore accept a certain type of body and suffer the pains and pleasures of thereof. This is also described by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 13:22. Karanam gunasango asya tat asad yoni janmasu. The living entity is born in different families or species of life because of being infected by the modes of the material nature. When the condition sold by nature, material nature, the living entity must accept a certain type of a body, which is offered by the nature under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Ishvara Sarvabhutana Hudadesha Adna Tisari Brahmyam Sarvabhutani Yantrarudhani Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all the living entities who are seated on as on a machine made of the material energy. The body is just like a machine, and according to the living entity's karma, he is offered a particular type of the machine to move here and there under the control of the material nature. This continues until he surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mama Evaye Prapadyante. Mayam Etam Tarandine. Until he surrenders, the conditioned soul is carried from life to life by the arrangement of the material desires. So we all know this philosophy, the science of soul. So we are not this body, we are the souls. So this body is like a machine, is given for us, like a car given us for from destination A to destination, sorry, source to destination. But instead of that, we are thinking that we are this body. We have to try to enjoy this because of the misuse of the independence. We are all having that independence. Krishna will not interfere with that independence. Krishna did not speak to Arjuna till Arjuna started surrendering. He was giving so many philosophies, so many points for not reasons for not fighting the war. But when he started surrendering to Krishna, then Krishna started speaking Bhagavad Gita. So similarly, we are into this process of cycle of birth and death. So punarapi jananam, punarapi janani, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam, yaha samsare, bahudusare. So we are all taking birth and then dying. But who is dying? Is the soul dying? No. Na hanyate hanyamani sharire. So soul is never destructible, and only the destructible is the body. The body is getting destroyed. This is called the birth and death. So when we start surrendering to Krishna, then we understand that we are not this body. This body is because of certain karmic actions which is going happening in my life. Until unless that surrender comes, we cannot go back to Krishna. Text number 23. Because of the movements of the water, the trees on the bank of the river, when reflected on the water, seem to be moved. Similarly, when the ice move because of some mental derangement, the land appears to be moving also. You see, so that when in a river, when there is a flow of the water, we see all the objects moving. But is the object moving? No, it's an illusion. So similarly, this world is like a Maya. The 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, you see the inverted tree is a reflection. There is a tree reflected on the water. What is the surface of the water? It is the Maya or the illusion. So we are thinking right to be wrong and wrong to be right. That is what is that is what is talking about. So we are thinking that this body is the permanent thing, and we're not considering about the soul. But the Hiranyakashipu is saying the soul is a permanent thing and body is temporary. This body goes back, goes and destroys, and the soul goes into another body. Vasamsi jidani yata vihai. The same thing which we hear in Bhagavad Gita, we have seen the same thing philosophy is being spoken about. According to the statement from Prema Vivarta, when the living entity is conditioned by the material nature, he is exactly like a person haunted by a ghost. So if you are intoxicated, if people are intoxicated, we see how people walk like so under the influence of intoxication, they go here and there, isn't it? So similarly, so by the influence of the material nature, we are all intoxicated. So we are not knowing what we are doing. So we are going here and there. We think that these objects are moving. So all these movements of the bodies are nothing but an illusion. This is what Hiranyakashipu is mentioning over here. So anyone would like to read 24?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Yes,
Santosh.
Prabhu.
Translation purport, no? That's it, no? Thank you. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. In the same way, oh my gentle mother, when the mind is agitated by the movements of modes of nature, the living entity, although freed from all different phases of the subtle and gross bodies, thinks that he has changed from one condition to another purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.84 chapter of 13th verse, यस्यात्मबुद्धि पुनपे त्रिधातुके स्वधिकलात्रादिषु भौमाज्य यत्तीर्थबुद्धि सलिलेन तर्हि चेत् जनेष्व अभिज्ञेषु स एव गोखर. A human being who identifies the body made of three elements as the self, who considers by the products of the body to be kinsmen, who consider the land of his birth worshipable, and who goes to a place of pilgrimage simply to bathe rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge, he is to be considered like a crow or an ass. Although Hiranyakashipu was a great demon, he was not as foolish as the population of the modern world. Hiranyakashipu had clear knowledge of the spirit soul and the subtle and gross bodies. But now we are so degraded that everyone, including the exalted scientists, philosophers, and other leaders, is under the bodily conception of life, which is condemned in the Shastras. Saeva Gokhara. Such persons are nothing but cows and asses. Hiranyakashipu advised his family members that although the gross body of his brother Hiranyaksha was dead, and they were aggrieved because of this, they should not lament for the great soul of Hiranyaksha, who had already attained his next destination. Atma, the spirit soul, is always unchanged. Avaikala Puman, Avikala Puman. Avikalapuman. We are spirit souls, but when we carried away by mental activities, manodharma, we suffer from so-called material conditions of life. This generally happens to non-devotees. Harau abhaktasya uto mahadguna. Non-devotees may possess exalted material qualities, but because they are foolish, they have no good qualifications. The designations of the conditioned soul in the material world are decorations of the dead body. The conditioned soul has no information of the spirit and its exalted existence beyond the effects of the material condition. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Great. So here Srila Prabhupada quotes about the Canto 10 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. See, it is clearly mentioned in the purport that Hiranyakashipu knows perfectly well that we are not his body, we are the soul. He knows everything. He knows all the shastras. So, one way, if you can, we can think, Hiranyakashipu in the previous life was a devotee Jaya Vijaya. So that thing might be coming. But still, he is acting as a demon over here. So, Hiranyakashipu knows the difference between the body and the soul, but he is not interested in applying it. We all know that we are not this body and we are the souls. So, as a soul, we have to do the Sanatana Dharma. Of course, Swadharma is also required, but the importance is the Sanatana Dharma. If you if you clearly see about our life, so Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, if you see, if we, like a businessman, wait our credits and debits. Credit is Sanatana Dharma, the soul consciousness, or Krishna consciousness, and debit is the material consciousness. So day-to-day activities you see, so whether there is a balance over it. So generally, we are doing Krishna conscious activities, but at the end of the day, our material consciousness is playing the more role. So we are mostly on the material consciousness, rather than sometimes we are on Krishna conscious platform. So we are not trying to implement the concept of soul here. But Shastra says the real human birth, human life starts not at the time of birth, but at the time of when we understand the Shastras, when we read Shastra, when we follow the Manu Samhita, it is we are called human beings. So all the Shastras lead to one point that you are not this body and you are the soul. We are ultimately Jivera Sarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityada. So how many of us are, yes, we heard it, but how much time we are applying it? We have to be, we have to think about it. We have to increase this consciousness. The basic principle is to know that at least that I am not this body, I am not even in the mind as well. But and Prahlad Maharaj says to Hiranyakashipu, the problem which Hiranyakashipu is facing is because of the mind. Your father, your mind is your enemy. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter. The mind is your enemy. Make it, it is either your enemy or your friend. If you it is enemy, you are destined to be doomed. Arjuna says, I cannot control this mind. What should I do? By suitable practice. By suitable practice, you can control your mind. What is the suitable practice? By chanting the holy names of Krishna and by hearing the pastimes and reading it. This is how the mind can be brought into control. Until unless we don't bring the mind into control, though we know the philosophy, we cannot apply it in the life. We tend to become Hiranyakashipus. Any volunteers for 25th to 27th? Anyone would like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I read?
Hare Krishna Sora. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Tala Pranam. Shri- Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Dichay. This is which sloka number I can't see.
25, 26.
25, 26. In his bewildered state, the living entity, accepting the body and mind to be the self, considers some people to be his kinsmen and others to be outsiders. Because of this misconception, he suffers. Indeed, the accumulation of such concatenated messages, material ideas, is the cause of suffering and so-called happiness in the material world. The conditioned soul, thus situated, must take birth in different species and work in various types of consciousness, thus creating new bodies. This continued material life is called samsara. Birth, death, lamentation, foolishness, and anxiety are due to such material considerations. Thus, we sometimes come to a proper understanding and sometimes fall again to a wrong conception of life. Text 27. Right. In this regard, an example is given from an old history. This involves a discourse between Yamaraja and the friends of a dead person. Please hear it attentively. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word itihasam Puratana means an old history. The Puranas are not chronologically recorded, but incidents mentioned in Puranas are actual histories of bygone ages. Srimad Bhagavatam is the Mahapurana, the essence of all Puranas. The Mayavadi scholars do not accept the Puranas, but Srila Madhvacharya and all other authorities accept them as the authoritative histories of the world. Hare Krishna.
So it is mentioned in the purpose that we are all bewildered. The soul is bewildered. So what is the state? What is bewildered state mean? So Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, so when we are overly thinking about the material objects, when we are thinking of material objects, it lead to the bewilderment state. So bewilderment state means overly emphasizing on the material objects or being material consciousness. So if you remember the story of Puranjana, when Narada Muni explains the story of Puranjana to Prachina Parisa, he wonderfully gives an analogy of who we are. Actually, the Puranjana is we, the souls. So he says, Narada Muni says, the Puranjana wanders different places. So he is moving all the places in the world, and ultimately he did not find happiness anywhere, and he went and came to a place called Bharat, India. So we are also are in search of happiness. We are searching happiness in the dog body, in the cow body, and in different planetary systems, and ultimately we reach a place of human birth. This human birth is the only opportunity where we can understand the real goal of our life. So what is the real goal of our life? To attain the love of Godhead, to go back to God, Krishna. But because of the because of the power of the three modes of material nature, we are all intoxicated. So what does intoxication here means? Intoxication here means we are all envious of each other. That's why we are in this material world. Because we are envious, we are continuing this cycle of birth and death. Birth, death, lamentation, foolishness, and anxiety. So these five words, so five aspects are the result of enviousness nature of nature. We, as a devotees, we see the ups and downs, right? Ups and downs in the material world. We also have lamentation, all those things. When we are in the satsangs, when we are coming to satsang, we are having services. We are doing engaged with services, but there is no lamentation. We are happy. But when we are going out of the satsang, when the satsang is finished, from Monday to Saturday, so what is happening? We are all struggling for our regular material things. We are lamenting. We are acting foolishly. We are anxiety. So when you are in the association of devotees, we are happy. But when you are outside the association of devotees, we are envious. That is not happening. That is what we can see. So how can that enviousness? It's a simple example. So one colleague was asking me, when I go to market, he was asking me, when I go to buy a saree, I see sarees, lots of sarees, but I don't like the saree which I see. And I like the saree which other person is seeing. This happens with a lot of ladies, right? So ladies doesn't like the sarees which they see, but they like the sarees which others see. Why is this happening? In a certain sense, we don't want others to have a nice saree. We are envious. If they get the nice saree, they will look better than me. We are enviousness. The root cause of all these things is the envy which we carry, and for that we are lamenting, we are behaving so much foolishly. So Srila Prabhupada says we lack spiritual vision. Because of lack of spiritual vision, we are envious because Sarira Avidyajal. This Sarira is avidya. So it's a trap of ignorance, and we are not able to understand the mercy which we are receiving. So that's why we have to depend more on. We have to beg for the mercy. Literally, we have to become a beggars. So we have to beg the mercy of the association, mercy of Krishna. So what is the spiritual vision which Srila Prabhupada is asking us to have? Always Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse. This is a famous verse which Srila Prabhupada quotes. Matruvat paradareshu, paradravyeshu lostravat, atmavat sarvabhuteshu, yani pashyati sa pandita. Who can be a pandita? Who can be a devotee? One who has these three qualities. One who looks others as a mother, except for the wife, looks other lady as mother. The first thing. Second thing is who looks others' wealth as a mere dust. I am the caretaker of my object, but I don't want others. I don't want to loot. And all beings as oneself. Atmavat Sarvabhut. I am are like they are also like the soul. I am related to Krishna. All of this are also related to Krishna. This is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining. Nadanam na janam na sundarim na kavidam va jagadisha kame mama janmani bhagavatat bhakti rahetu kitai. I am, of course, I don't want beautiful girls for the sake of pleasure. I look them as my mothers. I don't want dhana. I don't want others dhana. So this is the spiritual vision. Leads to detachment. This is the real detachment which we have to seek. And only we can start surrendering to Krishna. Anyone would like to read 28 till 21? Hare Krishna. Any volunteers?
I'll read. No, sir.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes.
Which one? 29 to 31. Prabhu?
29, 28, 29 and 31.
Yeah. Yeah. 28. Text 28. In the state known as
Sinara.
uh,
Hare Krishna.
Usila,
Hare
there
Krishna. Yeah, your audio is so
was
disturbing.
there was a
There is some problem in your audio.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I hear you?
Please, yes, please go ahead.
Translation.
celebrate named Surya. In the state known as Usila by his syllabus. వినబడతలేదా ప్రభు హరే కృష్ణ
Breaks వస్తున్నాయి bro.
ఇప్పుడు ఓకే ప్రభుజీ.
Yes, please go ahead. One of you go. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hare Krishna. In the state known as the
Okay.
Ausirana,
In the state known as the Usila was
Hare Krishna, let Satyadev Prabhu
celebrated
read.
named as
Let Satyadev Prabhu.
Satyadev Prabhu. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, in the state known as Usirana, there was a celebrating king named Suyagna. When the king was killed in the battle by his enemies, his kinsmen sat down around the dead body and began to lament the death of their friend. Translation. His golden bejeweled armor smashed, his ornaments and garland fallen from their places, his hair scattered, and his eyes lusterless. And Lustless, the slain king lay on the battlefield, his entire body smeared with blood, his heart pierced by the arrows of the enemy. When he died, he had wanted to show his power, prowess, and thus he had beaten his lips and his teeth remained in the position. His beautiful lotus like face was now black and covered with dust from the battlefield. His arms, with his sword and other weapons, were cut and broken. When the queens of the king of the Ushirana saw their husband lying in this position, they began crying, "Oh Lord, now that you have been killed, we are also been uh, we also have been killed. Repeating these words again and again, they fell down, pounding their breast at the feet of the dead king. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. As stated here, Rabasa Dasta Dachalam, the king, that king, while fighting in the anger, bit his lips which to show his prowess, but nonetheless he was killed by the providence within. This proves that we are controlled by higher authorities. Our personal power or endeavor is not always supreme. This is the most important. This proves that we are controlled by higher authorities. Our personal power or endeavor is not always supreme. Means we are not the doers. We think that we are the doers, but we are actually not the doers. So this sloka is this two 28 till 31 is directly related to 29, so 27, where it is mentioned that the word itihasam puratana means it's an old history. So we see here the story of
Mm.
Hiranyakashipu, all the stories. There are so many devotees, Katvanga Muni, all those people, it's the stories. So people think that they are not the stories actually. They are the
Prabhuji,
history.
biting the lips. What is the significance of biting the lips, Prabhuji? I didn't understand.
So it is like showing his prowess. Sometimes you see when you are charging with bite all is like this.
Okay, okay,
It's like that. It's an expression of showing his prowess that I am great.
okay, okay.
So people will think that these are all stories. Puranas, itihasas are histories. Like we see history, right? So all these histories of Tipu Sultan, so Mughal invasion, Aryan invasions, all these are histories which have happened in in this world. These are also histories, but the problem is we don't consider this as history. People say it's mythology because of the Britishers. That person, my colleague, he termed this word, this our history as mythology. Mythology means which is a myth which did not happen. Why are we thinking like Vedic understanding means we are accepting the authorities. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasthena sevya upadakshante jnanam jnanena sattvadarshana. This is our Vedic understanding, accepting the words of the higher authority in the line of disciplic succession. And they say these are all Puranas. These are all histories which have actually happened because they are all Tattvadarshis. But the ordinary scholars, ordinary authorities, or historians, they misunderstand this the entire story, entire history. Why? Because historians seek a date. In 1947, India got independence. There is a certain date. In so and so date, this war has happened. There is so and so date. But our Puranas are not concerned with the date, chronological date. We also have the dates. How are we maintaining the dates? Sankalpa. We all know, right? Jambudvipe, Dakshina Digbage, all those things we chant, right? This is what is this Manmantre. This is what is our chronological date. So on this Satya Yuga, so in this Manmantra, this incident has happened. But there is no chronology. We don't maintain chronology. Our Itihas doesn't have a chronology because our Puranas are question and answer basis. We get a question and the speaker answers it accordingly. So the flow is not chronological, but historians can always see a chronology. If it is chronology, they will accept it. If there is no chronology, they will reject it. Simple. They say it's mythology. This has not happened. That's why we are losing faith in the Shastras. In the Shastras. So we have to revive this faith. So everyone has to preach. Try to increase the faith, but don't rely on ordinary historians. Vedas or Puranas attract people from materialistic life to goal, to God. So we have to gradually elevate the people, give them the faith that the Puranas are most important in our life. Otherwise, we will become simply like the same historians. And though we preach, we don't understand this. We are one day we to understand the history of Krishna. I don't know Prabhuji's name. Is my Mahabharata and mythology. That's a wonderful session, right? It increases the faith that yes, Mahabharata has happened 5,000 years back. Krishna and Balaram existed. They are forefathers, and all this gave rise to faith in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? We are all convinced, right? So we have to deal with the people and bring out from the historian culture to our Vedic authority culture. But somehow we have to accept this authorities. So that is what we have to surrender to this our devotees, acharyas. Without guru, which is not going to happen. So in order to summarize, please let us summarize what we have seen today. In the 16th sloka, we have seen the importance of the Sankirtana Yajna, and we have to do whatever it is needed to further Sankirtana Yajna to sustain and increase. In the 17th to 21st sloka, we have seen the four important principles of the devotional service, which include the humility, mind, surrender, and desires. We have to cultivate humility, we have to control the mind, we have to start surrendering to Krishna, and then it leads to purified desires. In the 22nd and 23rd sloka, we have seen the science of the soul, how the soul is permanent and the body is temporary, and soul moves from one body to another. In the 24th sloka, we have seen we have to purify our mind to become Krishna consciousness. There is no other way. We have to control the mind and purify this mind by engaging in the Shastric study. We have to be philosophically convinced. In the 25th to 27th sloka, we have seen our bewilderment state because of our overly attachment to the material conception of life, material vision, but we have to transform our material vision into spiritual vision, which is nothing but Matravat Paradareshu, Paradraveshu Lostavat, Atmavit Sarvabhutani, Yani Pashyanti Sapanditaha. So we have to change our perception to think that other women are like my mother, others' wealth is like a piece of dust, and other beings are same as the soul, which is belonging to Krishna conscious, Krishna. And then finally, we have seen why there is a decline in the faith in the Vedas because of people thinking that Vedas are mythology. There is no chronological order, but our maintenance of time is because of the Sankalpa. This is like Jambu Dvipa, Dakshina Dvipa. That is our Puranas mentioning, and Puranas say reveal based on question and answers, not according to time, place, time. And historian is confused that when there is no time, that is mythology, but we have to revive our faith in Krishna Vedas. When the faith in Vedas increases, our Krishna consciousness clarifies. Hey Krishna, I seek forgiveness if I spoke something wrong. I seek your surrender so that whatever I say today, it should not be like a Hiranyakashipu speaking the philosophy. Something I should realize and apply it in my life and progress in my Krishna consciousness journey. Hey Krishna, thank you so much for giving me your valuable time and giving your association. Any question we can take up right now. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much, Prabhu. So you
Thank
stopped.
you so much, Prabhuji. Dandapranam.
Thank you so much. Yes, Praswara, you are saying something.
Start with 30 seconds sloka tomorrow, right, Prabhu?
Yes, sir. We'll start from the date.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It's wonderful, wonderful class. Prabhu.
Thank you, sir.
Always back grounded. Please keep us grounded.
I'm trying to be grounded because you are all grounded. So by your association, I made grounded much more. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. If there are no questions, can we start?
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir. Satya.
Prabhuji, one general question, like Hiranyakashipu, he knows so much philosophy and everything, but he doesn't implement.
Yes.
But what could be the main? When I see lot of people actually, when they say so many, all this philosophy, but when it tries to implement, they will fail. What could be the main reason for failing to implement what they preach?
So one reason given in this all this slokas is envious attitude. We are all envious. Hiranyakashipu knows that Vishnu is a supreme, but ultimately, what he wanted to do? He wanted to eliminate Vishnu and sit in this position. And many of the people who speak about Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, inside our heart, we are trying to become Krishna, not Krishna conscious. We are trying to
Hmm.
become Krishna indirectly. That is, I think what is driving these few slokas because of our envious attitude.
Okay.
Ankara, Ankara Vimudatma Karta.
Okay, that means we feel that okay, I know this,
I
but I
know
don't
this.
become.
I am the supreme.
Okay.
Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. I am speaking Bhagavad Gita. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. I am explaining Bhagavad Gita. That's what I am God. So this is what is deep rooted. When we remove that, when we start surrender to Krishna, Krishna, you are the supreme. Then the real Bhagavad Gita starts transforming us. Did I answer your question, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji, absolutely. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, others can add points. There are so many other things as well. Anyone can add to this point.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So one of the main reasons, what I feel, one of the main reasons why, in spite of knowing so much philosophy, people don't surrender is because of lack of association. They have no attraction for devotee association. Hiranyakashipu is there even today within all of us. Like we started the lecture today. If we attend Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Panditya, Bhakti Prabhupada, Bhakti, and you're also giving classes, but you have no attraction to go and sit in a class and hear, meaning you are not helpless at all. You have not understood the philosophy at all. You are just trying to be an Amway supplier. You know who is an Amway supplier? Right? Amway
Yes,
products,
Prabhuji.
right? You understand what it is, you go and tell to 10 people, you create your own chain.
Yes, Prabhuji.
And you get benefits of it.
Hmm.
Right? Ultimately, it becomes material only. So if you have no attraction to go and sit in a class and you start giving reasons, that I don't have time, oh, I'm busy, my this is good, my that is good. That's exactly was Hiranyakashipu's position. He had all the opportunity to take association. Narad Muni was around. He was not, he was completely reluctant. He spoke great philosophy to his mother when Hiranyaksha died. But ultimately the philosophy was of what use? He could not even understand the goal of life. So Prabhuji, we have to, these all historical incidents are there to warn us how dangerously we are situated. But still, what to do? Ahankara, like Prabhuji said, Ahankara Vimodhatma Karta Hamti Manyate. I'm the doer, I'm the enjoyer. So nobody can help. Lack of association. Lack of association. Lack of good association is the root cause of all our behaviors, no matter what they are. Our chanting is also not good because lack association is not good. Our reading is not good, association is not good. Our progress is not good because association is not good. We are not Indra, we are Hiranyakashipu because association is not. And even Indra is vulnerable to. Indra is vulnerable to fall down when there is bad association. That's what I feel.
Prabhuji, one follow-up question, Prabhuji. Like we see that so many preachers, like maybe not from ISKCON, but they're preaching so much philosophy about Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam. I don't say they're not following or they're not agreeing Krishna is the supreme, but Krishna, as Krishna said, that those who are spreading my all these things, they are my close devotees. They say so, but they are not implementing it, but they are preaching it to others like thousands and lakhs. Does it cause any offense to them?
What I understood is, if they're coming into the proper disciplic succession, the message is ultimately coming from the Krishna to the parampara. Though he might not be progressing individually, but the receiver might progress. That is an advantage it is there. Why the person who is preaching is not progressing is because he is not implementing. Preaching is the essence. So ultimately, what we follow, that only we preach. Nothing more. whatever we don't preach, there is most of the time will not get affected. At least we should have intention to try to implement that. It might be failing in certain areas. Whole 700 slokas we cannot implement, might not be able to implement. But at least we should have an intention that we are trying it. The intention is more important. So if a preacher is not implementing in that life, it is only the preacher who is not getting the benefit. Others will get the benefit and might go to the Krishna might direct them to the sincere devotees.
Okay, Prabhuji.
It is from the bonafide sampradaya.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Right.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not like a big offense they are doing. It's only that the progress maybe gets delayed.
That happens. But they are not. He is repeating the same message of Krishna,
Mm.
but he is not becoming offensive. But the
Okay.
only lack is implementation.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Personally, he might not be progressing. Others will get the nicest.
Sorry,
Mm.
personally, might not be progressing, and others.
Others who are being tasted will get that sincere devotee according to the sincere devotees. Sincere.
So bottom line is we should make sure our own sadhana is intact.
Yes, first our sadhana is important.
Not get carried away with something else.
Last week when we get that association, he said first is sadhana. First important is sadhana.
So yeah, getting carried away is dangerous thing, Prabhu, because if sadhana starts to fail, it's a downward spiral after that. Because you're getting carried. You see, the whole idea, I think, is more about trying to replace materialistic thinking with Krishna consciousness thinking, are the same enjoyment with which you are fulfilling your senses to be enjoyed with Krishna consciousness. Now, if your sadhana is not good, you are starting to enjoy your senses with materialistic thinking in Krishna consciousness. And that is dangerous, basically, right? I mean, because that's the false satisfaction, and that is false thinking that you are progressing and you are not progressing, basically. So, is that an offense? I don't know if it is offense or not. Probably it can easily become an offense. Very quickly it can become an offense because we are now trying to get spiritual satisfaction, materialistic concepts, basically, right? That's problem.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just want to add, Satyadev Prabhu, one thing I want to add. These people who are preaching Bhagavad Gita in the other paramparas, one thing we have to be very careful is there are a lot of Mayavadi interpretations of Bhagavad Gita as well. And
Yes, Prabhuji.
they never say Krishna is the supreme, they call Paramatma, things like that, because there are different interpretations. I don't know whether that's a offense or not, but we have to be very careful about those and not fall for them. And many of
No,
them,
they call both, Prabhuji. They call Krishna as also Paramatma. They call Shiva also Paramatma. They call Amavara also Paramatma. Everything is
yes,
Paramatma.
correct. So the people who are getting that message will not get the right message. They are it's not the correct message they're giving. So we have to be very careful in understanding that. Making sure that we hear from the right parampara. That's very important.
Mm.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah. So, is it an offense? Yes, it is an offense. Because two reasons. One is because he himself doesn't know what is right, and is preaching it, right? And second, he is definitely not. He is definitely not taking association of seniors. Most of these people, if you see, in the internet, the famous speakers, they don't have a guru. Or they say that they have a guru, but they never listen from that guru. They think that they are done. And they start, speaking philosophy according to their whimsical situation. So they will eventually commit an offense. That's the offense only. We should be very, very careful when we take up a role of a preacher, is that we are making sure that we are having good amount of association. You might be thinking, why am I saying association again and again? Previous answer also association. Prabhu, remember that A is holding the B, C, and D. A, B, C, D. We know that A, B, C, D. Association, Bhagavad Gita books, chanting, and diet. We all came to Krishna consciousness because of association. And if the association is lost, then chanting also will go, sadhana will go, diet also will go, and reading also, books will also go. So everything depends on association. And most of these preachers that you're saying, they speak about Krishna, but they don't follow, they don't have association. I don't want to name them. You know, the Telugu big giants, today famous in the internet. How many times have you seen them attending a class? Think about it.
Never,
How
Prabhuji.
many times have you seen they actually sitting in a class and attending? Never. They're only
Never.
invited and they talk. That's all. You will never see them attending a class, which means they don't have any association. They're Gyanis, right? Gyanis, that's all. And the Jnana also is contaminated because it is all driven by their selfish motive. Right? So Prabhuji's, it is so important. We remind ourselves again and again and again that we have to be in constant and good association until we leave this planet, not until we think we are settled. The moment there is a complacency in the mind that, I think I'm okay, done, fall down starts from there. So, yeah, so that's what I.
Prabhuji, is it offense to listen to them also? Like just keeping Krishna conscious in our mind, can we listen to
When you
the?
listen to them, what happens, Prabhuji? When you listen to them, what happens?
I mean,
What
those are
happens
all
when you listen?
Telugu. I mean, those are all very detailed Telugu lectures.
I
We
know,
don't have
but I'm
that.
asking you, when you listen to them,
Mm.
what happens to you? When you listen to Prabhupada, what happened to you?
We became Krishna conscious more.
Yeah. Yeah, when you listen to Mayavadis, you become Mayavadi conscious. When you listen to stories, you become story conscious. There is no philosophy. Prabhuji, I'll tell you the uniqueness of Prabhupada.
Mm.
How many lectures have you heard of Prabhupada where he's telling story of Krishna Leela or Narsingha Leela? Tell me.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Huh? Can you think of any? Maybe if you search, maybe you'll have maybe one or two in thousands. Because Prabhupada exactly knew what is the tendency. Stories are important, but after philosophy. Philosophy makes us grounded, story makes us elevated. These all people are famous
Okay.
because they tell stories, no philosophy, no application. When you hear to such people, you'll be attracted to story. And as a result of that, what? You will hear all those stories, then I'll come and sit in a ISKCON nice satsang. And a Prabhuji is telling philosophy, you'll sit there and comment, in Prabhu in the philosophy, story approach kada.
Okay,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? What happens? You get deviated. Attraction is gone.
Correct,
Should be very
Prabhuji.
careful.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Atlani, it's not like we should not tell stories. Yeah, festival time you tell stories. When festival time comes, specific to the festival tell story. But people will not appreciate the story. They're not deep rooted into the philosophy. Story can make you cry, but it will not make our material desires dry. But philosophy will make our material desires dry, and then story will also make us cry. Ours is opposite way. Why do we take science of self-relation before everything? Because people have to know where they are. Then they can take help. No? All these preachers who are preaching outside, they don't want any. Their intention also is not that they should elevate people. They are just speaking because they like to speak. They have an audience. That's all. Most of them. Otherwise, they'll also sit in classes, right? They'll sit down, make notes, sit down in classes. Where do you see them? I have not seen anybody so far. I have not seen anybody sitting in a class and hearing. They're always on the stage only, never below the stage. Have you seen ISKCON sannyasis sitting below the stage?
Yes, Prabhuji. Many times.
All the time. All the time. So that's needed.
Can I add a small example? Sorry.
Yeah.
So Sachadeva Prabhu, I'll give you a small example. I came across somebody last week. I was having this conversation.
Yes,
This was
Prabhuji.
there for 10 years, listening to one of the very popular Pravachana Katha in Andhra Pradesh, basically. So he very closely associated with him for 10 plus years, basically. So he was complaining or telling me basically, like, he's now recently coming to Krishna consciousness, about a year and a half. So he's missing all that kind of stories, all that kind of jnanam he was getting then. So he was a little bit comparing this. So I asked him, what is the biggest change that happened after he came into Krishna consciousness? He said, I gave up non-veg. He said, but 10 years of hearing that could not help you do that. 10 years of that kind of closeliness with one of those people could not help you do that. But within 1 year of few lectures in Krishna consciousness made him give up non-vegetarian. So I told him, like, you should understand what is working for you, basically. So if you think this is working, then there is something definitely different and bigger that is in place for you. So, you see what I'm saying, Prabhu? So
Yes, Prabhuji.
most people that are in that have what you call to take comfort in those lectures and think they make spiritual progress. I have to question whether there's any transformative change happening or not. That I see a lot here, basically. That Prabhu was also saying, Santosh Aditya Prabhuji, the dissection of heart, something he was using the words in the class. Right? Surgery, heart surgery, basically. So that really happens in this purpose.
Very wonderful example, Prabhuji.
Well, I mean, hope I helped him increase his faith a little bit. But yes, that's the discussion. I was happy. I had last week. I thought I'd bring it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, Prabhu, I'm leaving. I have to go somewhere. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the connection.
Prabhuji, Dandavat, Hare Krishna.
So we'll end the session here. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya Koti Vaishnav ki jai, Ramacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai, Transcendental Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai. Santosh Aditya Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Sai Gaurari Premanande.